In the name of God, the Creator, the Redeemer, and the Spirit who is our companion. Amen. As Richard said, this is the final Sunday of the church year. And on this day, every year, we traditionally, the church, has celebrated Christ as the King. At St. Margaret's, we avoid this title for Jesus the Christ for obvious reasons. It suggests a kind of power over us, not for us. It's a holdover from 1st century Roman Empire, 20th century British Empire, and other nationalistic systems which, intentionally or not, put us over them, or them over us. Even so, I have a confession to make to all of you. When I heard that a new season of The Crown was going to be aired, I was thrilled. Like many, I have this lifelong fascination with the goings-on of British royalty. I have my grandmother, the one who raised me, to thank for that. Grandma took great delight that my birthday was just 6 months after Prince Charles's, and that I shared the same first name as Princess Anne. But I know only too well the sad deterioration of the British royal family. No blame goes to Elizabeth, who has, as she originally declared that she would, served her people with complete devotion. But her good intentions couldn't prevent infidelities, divorces, scandals, fires consuming her properties. All her power couldn't prevent colonies around the world demanding their independence. So much for power over. Jesus teaches us about power for. The parable we just heard in Matthew is the last before Jesus enters into Jerusalem the final time. I suppose this rather stark story of sheep versus goats is a final attempt to get his disciples' attention. And the story is pretty compelling. What I find fascinating in this is that neither the sheep nor the goats realize that what they have been doing or not doing has affected the people around them and themselves. Jesus makes these consequences uncomfortably clear. What he is suggesting is that to participate in God's realm, God's reign, our words don't matter so much. What matters is what we do. And if we want to look into the face of Jesus, all we need is to look at the other, people who seem different from us in some way, or experiencing homelessness, suffering food insecurity as we do not. Anyone who has lost agency, lost their voice, people suffering mental illness, people suffering devastating physical illness. So Jesus tells us, if you want to see me, if you want to have a relationship with me, see them, feel something of their distress and do something about it. Jesus is telling us those who don't belong are with God and are of God. But this is St. Margaret's. You all know this. You all live this. This teaching is at the core, the very essence of what St. Margaret's is all about. Just think of our dedication to Charlie's Place. And now the Reimagined Charity Initiative coming up December 6th. So I'm really preaching to the choir here, a parish-sized choir. So what new understanding might we discern from this parable? I want to go back to the idea that neither group knows that they are either giving or not giving to those in need. And by extension, Jesus himself. Who else in our lives might be in need of help or new way of understanding? We're very aware of our neighbors and want to find new ways of reaching out and upholding them. No exceptions. This is St. Margaret's special gift. I think we're also very aware of people among us within our parish who may need our attention and care. We have the pastoral care group, those who have in the past gone forth and brought the sacrament to people who couldn't be physically in church, and they will again one day. And there are wonderful informal networks of care and concern that keep us even more intimately connected. So we do a good job of caring for our neighbors, though there is room for reimagining how that care can be more systemically helpful to them. And we do a good job of caring for those in our parish family. Who else does that leave? Someone who may be hurting or confused or wondering what to do next or how to be in a different way. Someone who may be feeling lonely, sometimes in a house full of people. Someone feeling something essential still is missing. Who might that person be? How about you? You. How do we, each of us, take up Jesus's message of love and concern and apply it to ourselves? Are you sometimes the first person whose needs and longings you overlook? Now, I'm not talking about pampering ourselves or papering over real faults. I'm talking about what goes deeper, what is most essential, what we need for our soul's sake, which only God can provide. But God needs our cooperation. Remember the first and greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your soul and mind and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. This first and greatest commandment sets up a kind of trinity of love: God, neighbor, self. Neighbor, God, self. Self, neighbor, God. All connected, indivisible. The only reason I'm preaching this is because I think that many people in this congregation are so beautifully outwardly focused that we sometimes neglect ourselves and our own self-care. What does your soul, mind, and body most need? A better diet and exercise routine? Quiet walks? Taking time to reconnect with family members or friends you may not have spoken with for years? Rereading books you've loved and would love to read again? Scheduling moments of quiet meditation? Beginning or renewing your prayer life? These questions lie beneath Bishop Marianne's admonition to us at the end of last week's sermon that she preached on the occasion of Richard's institution as our 9th rector. She invited us to care for our spiritual selves, our whole selves. Only by tending to what is most essential to us and within us, only then can we touch and heal what is most essential for our neighbors. And then we will know that when we look into the face of our neighbor, we see not only the face of Christ, but ourselves. Amen.